Welcome to Let's Solve the Universe. And thank you for tuning into my podcast. Well, it's not really my podcast anymore. It's now yours because you've downloaded it. And I'm glad you did. Because now it's your opportunity to listen to some of the coolest people on the planet. We're here to talk about anything and everything in an attempt to better understand our species. Why is this podcast called Let's Solve the Universe? Well, I write a lot. I think a lot about the world we live in. But ideas aren't born or solved in a vacuum. I'm fortunate enough to have a lot of insightful talks with so many wonderful people. I've wanted to share these conversations with the world. Perhaps through this, our conversations will spark new ideas and new ways of thinking. Hopefully, these insights will solve our species' problems little by little and provide some enjoyment along the way. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Let's Solve the Universe. Before we start the show, there's a few really awesome events coming up and some organizations I want to give a shout out to. There are all kinds of networking events where you can connect with people on a professional level, and there's dozens where you can get into the minds of brilliant experts on countless subjects. But how many opportunities do we have to get into their hearts? That's where Mo Mondays comes in. If you know me, you know I'm a fan of Mo Mondays. More than a fan, I love it. Full disclosure, I used to host Mo Mondays London. I still love going to Mo Mondays because you really do meet the nicest people. By the way, this is not a paid endorsement. I just love Mo Mondays that damn much. Mo Mondays Waterloo is coming up on November 12th. I'll be speaking there. I hope to see you there. Mo Mondays Winnipeg, Niagara, and Ottawa is happening on November 19th. Mo Mondays Brampton is on November 26th with the incredible W.T. Hamilton speaking there. He will be a guest on the podcast in a couple of weeks. And Mo Mondays Toronto will be November 26th. I lied! It will be November 19th. Sorry. Full disclosure, yours truly might just be speaking there. For tickets or more information, go to momondays.com. That's momondays.com, momondays.com. Do you want to be better understood by people you talk with? Are you looking to get that promotion at work? If so, Toastmasters might be the place for you. When I tell people that Toastmasters changed my life, I'm not joking. In 2016, I went to my first Toastmasters meeting, and from there, I have met some of the most amazing people. My speaking skills have changed for the better. I've learned to harness both sides of my personality. I could go on and on about Toastmasters, but you really have to experience it for yourself. Chances are, if you're living anywhere where other humans are living, there's a Toastmasters club near you. Go to toastmasters.org and click Find a Club to find the club nearest you. My home club is Forest City Toastmasters, who just celebrated their 60th anniversary. They meet every Thursday at 7 p.m. Doors open at 6:30 at the Goodwill Centre on Horton Street in London, Ontario, Canada. Hope to see you there and hope that you check out Toastmasters. Truly, if you want to be a better leader or a better speaker or just become more comfortable with yourself, head over to toastmasters.org and check it out. This is not a paid endorsement. I love Toastmasters that much. Finally, I will be at the Freeman Fusion Event App Summit in Dallas on Monday, November 5th and Tuesday, November 6th. For more information, go to fusionsummit.com. I've got a few more announcements, actually. The Shift Your Thinking Learning Differences Summit is this Sunday, November 4th, and it is organized by the dynamic Susan Schenk. She is an OT and author of Beyond OK. Shift Your Thinking is here to change how we view and approach learning differences such as dyslexia, that's a hard word, learning disabilities, and ADHD. It's an incredible resource for parents with children who have learning differences. As someone with cerebral palsy and who's had to deal with learning accommodations and technology accommodations in school, I'm here to tell you these resources are needed badly in our community. Be a part of the Shift Your Thinking Learning Differences Summit. Go to shiftyourthinkingld.com for more information. Shift Your Thinking, L as in Lima, D as in Delta.com. Finally, and this is really finally, The Universe featuring Ray has got a new music video that drops November 9th. The Universe featuring Ray, she is an awesome performer who I actually met at Toastmasters. She'll be on the podcast in a few weeks. Really looking forward to that. She's an incredible performer and musician. Check it out. The Universe featuring Ray on Instagram at The Universe featuring Ray, R-A-Y. Now, with all the intros done, let's get this show started. My guest today is a self-taught musician who just released her first EP, Bittersweet Remedy. It's out now on all the major platforms such as Google Play Music, Apple iTunes, and a million other platforms I don't even know the name of. Spotify for sure. We got to talk about her music career and the incredible path she's taken. This woman learned the ukulele at the speed of light. The launch party for her album Bittersweet Remedy is happening at the London Music Hall in London, Ontario on November the 17th. If you want tickets, and you should, go look up Leanne Mayer, M-A-Y-E-R Music, on Facebook for more information. November 17th at the London Music Hall. You'll want to be there to catch this woman in action. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to introduce the one and only Leanne Mayer Hodges.
You blindsided me by the sheer surprise when you flew the coop, flying high, no fear of falling. You've been
Here we go. We are now recording, so I don't know, get uncomfortable?
Perfect. So everything you say is on record forever and ever.
Something like that. Leanne Mayer Hodges. I get it right, yeah?
Yes. My music name, though, is just Leanne Mayer. My married name is Leanne Mayer Hodges.
Yeah, and you just got married recently, right?
I did this past summer.
That's awesome. Congrats.
Yeah, thank you.
So that's got to be exciting.
Very exciting.
Is that going to change the music name at all?
No, I'm going to keep that the same. Keep them separate and the same. So I've kind of got two different identities, I guess.
Right. Nice. We were just chatting before we hit record. We were looking through some of the old video games.
Yes. Good old Nintendo.
Yeah.
Nostalgic.
Yeah, just all the old days of having to go and rent games because they're too damn expensive. Yeah.
Yeah, I remember they were like $90 to $100, like in the 80s.
Yeah.
So that's like, what, $500 now?
Yeah, something like that. What's kind of crazy, though, with the retro market is some of those games are fetching like those crazy prices.
I know, it's insane. Like they haven't they haven't depreciated at all. Should
Yeah.
have invested in Nintendo. Why?
Yeah. I mean, there's other investments that would have probably been better, but
Yes, like Google.
yeah, or Apple.
Yes.
You know,
Or anything other than Nintendo.
Although, like a couple years, remember when Pokemon Go came out a couple years ago? Remember that?
Yes. That's not Nintendo, is it?
Well, that was the thing, is there was a bunch of people that went, ooh, this is Nintendo. They invested in Nintendo stock.
Oh.
And
We're sorely.
some of them were some of them were smart, and they did like stock shorting or something crazy and made a bunch of money on it. And I was like, you bastards.
Yeah, Pokemon Go really took off. I still know some people that play it, actually.
Yeah, me.
Yeah.
Sometimes. Do you play it?
I never have, but I have coworkers that I've been in the vicinity while they were playing.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you haven't been bitten by the Pokemon bug?
I haven't, and it's probably because I've got 2 young kids, so my free time is very sparse right now.
Right.
And it came out like right in the heart of that.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Are they big Pokemon fans?
They don't know what Pokemon is. They're 1 and 3.
Oh, okay. Okay, so just wait a couple years until Nintendo brings out their next system, right?
Exactly, and then they'll be able to teach me. I always say, like, once my daughter's 6, she'll probably have greater computer skills than I do.
Right. Yeah. No, this next generation coming up I'm really fascinated to see what they'll do with technology.
Oh, technology just keeps getting more impressive and faster and can do more things. So even in our lifetime, it's crazy what it's done. Like the internet was induced in our lifetime.
Well, because I think back to being a child of the 90s and just the total exuberance that was going on in that period. Mm-hmm. Like this whole idea of all the information in the world at your fingertips.
Yeah, it's crazy. I remember it going from researching at the library, like when you're doing a project, to researching on the internet, to it not really being accepted, the research on the internet, to like that's where you have to research on the internet.
Yeah, wasn't that was crazy that there was a period where, like we didn't trust the internet at all.
Yeah, and you still have to take it with a grain of salt, right? Like know your sources. But yeah, it's incredible what it's been able to do to bring minds together and to do on so many levels, science and music and.
Well, yeah, because you being in music, how's that changed things for you?
Well, people can record easier. So the whole music scene has changed over my lifetime. It used to be people would kind of get a record deal. Somebody they'd go on tour and that kind of thing. And now you really have to do your own. You have to do your own thing and record your own music, self-promote, self-produce. So many people have recording studios at home. So it's great. People that have the talent can really, get their stuff out there. Whereas before, the technology was unattainable. But now everybody, if you've got a computer, you can basically, or even an iPhone, you can record to a certain level.
Right. Yeah, that's true. Because I was looking on my iPad, I was playing around with GarageBand a little while ago. Mm-hmm. And I was like, this is crazy.
Yeah. They never had that kind of stuff. Like, for instance, even getting your hands on music. Like I was saying earlier that I grew up in Northern Ontario, Kirkland Lake. It was isolated. We had a music store.
Yep.
But you could only get what was there, and they'd only get a few copies of certain albums and stuff. So you would wait and listen to the radio, wait till the top 40 or top 30 or whatever, and you would tape it on a tape, and that's how you would get your music.
I've got a bunch of those mixtapes still.
That's awesome.
I got to play them back and archive some of those old commercials.
You absolutely do. I wish I had some of those. I used to, my old friend Sherry Pichet, we used to make like radio shows and stuff and make up songs, and her parents are still in the same house that she grew up in, so she's still got some of that old stuff. It's awesome.
Cool. Mm-hmm. You had radios that had the little built-in microphone on the tape deck?
Yes.
You all crowd around that and you do your own little radio show?
Yeah, you like pass it around, turn it slightly.
I remember doing that. Oh, man. I got to dig that. I got tapes like that. I got to dig them out of archive.
You absolutely do. Cut one into this segment. Time for a commercial break.
Yes. Except now the mics are a little bit better and a little bit more expensive.
Yeah.
But so when you were up in that That's interesting. Small town, the music store up there. Mm-hmm. Did you find that some of the selection too was limited by what the store owner was interested in?
Oh yeah, absolutely. And it was a small store, so it was basically I was exposed to what my dad had. He had a lot of records, and luckily he had a vast taste in music. So he would get like the pop hits, or he'd have some of the classic singers. Like he had like Buddy Holly or Janis Joplin, CCR. He loved Elvis. So all the kind of great singers. And then in the 80s, he was into like some of the pop hits like Whitney Houston, all sorts of music, Simon and Garfunkel, the Beatles, like anything you can imagine from all genres. So I was really exposed to a lot of different musical influences. And if you catch one of my shows, if I'm doing like a full 3-hour set, you'll see that my covers are vastly influenced by pretty much my childhood, because every song I pick is from something from my past. I do some current ones, but a lot of the ones are from like 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s.
I noticed that. I was researching for this show. I was looking on because we're Facebook friends.
Yes,
I was looking I was looking at some of the videos that you've posted and trying to figure out what genre you play.
Yes.
And I found it a little bit difficult to nail that down.
Yes, I have the same problem.
Yeah?
Yeah.
So like, so you have all these different musical inspirations, and you've got this new album, which you brought me a copy of, Bittersweet Remedy.
Yes.
Which that drops on October 30th?
Yes, on iTunes and Spotify and all the online music places.
Yeah.
And I've got the album release party on November 17th at the London Music Hall of Fame Ballroom.
Cool.
Yes, I'll be there with a full band, so I'm really excited about that.
Here in London, Ontario.
Here in London.
Yeah. Is there a tour with it as well?
There is not. I was up north in Northern Ontario, and I did a release up there in my hometown just this past weekend.
Right, I saw that.
Yeah, and basically I'm doing the release. I've got a band for the release, and there are a lot of the people that were in the band with me before. I was in a band called Hollow Romance for a lot of years.
Right.
So a lot of them helped me record on this EP. So they've come together and they're in the band for the release. But after the release, I'm moving forward with another band. And then we're going to get ready for spring and summer and the festival season.
And that's a busy season for you then?
I'm hoping so. I'm hoping so with the new EP. I'm really excited to see what this coming year brings.
Sweet. Mm-hmm. That was something I wanted to ask you. I've heard the term EP, LP. There's a bunch of those that are tossed around. Like, what's the difference between an EP and an LP?
An EP, basically, there's an EP and a full-length album. So an LP would be a full-length album, I'm pretty sure. But an EP means it's under 25 minutes. So it's basically the length. So it's a shorter album.
Right.
And then a full-length album would be over 25 minutes. So I think they call that an LP.
Okay.
Yeah.
So this is an EP.
It's an EP. There's 5 songs on it.
Right.
Yeah. If I would have had probably one more, it would have tipped the scales with the time.
Right.
But it was a point in time. I was basically off on my maternity leave with my second child. And I started writing while I was off. And basically my goal was to write a song a month. I had taught myself the ukulele over the past year. And then once I was a year into that, I wanted to start writing. So the goal was a song a month that was good enough that I would want to play it in front of people, because a lot of musicians have a lot of songs, but they don't see the light of day.
Right.
So I kept going. I started in the summer. I think it was July, August, September, October. November was a rough month because I just started gigging, so I didn't write a song that month. But then December, I made up for it and wrote the last one.
Wow.
And then I started recording, but I was gigging as much as I could to self-fund the album. So it was very important to me to pay for it myself. And if anybody that's familiar with the studio process knows, it's very expensive to pay for studio time, to pay for other artists to help out as well, and to get everything done, the design cost, all that kind of stuff. So I tried to take as many gigs as I could this past year to pay for it. And then basically in February, I started recording, and that took a few months. And I was gigging at the same time. Then I went back to work. So I've just been kind of balancing all the different roles in my life.
And you're a mom.
And I'm a mom of a 1 and 3-year-old. So that is the most important role.
And 2 cats.
And 2 cats. So yeah, totally busy.
No kidding.
Yeah.
And you managed to release an album at the same time. That's amazing.
Yeah. I'm an employment consultant also for Fanshawe College.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
And as I look at the album here too, I was about to ask you about that ukulele.
Yes. Yeah, so I started playing the ukulele a couple years ago. I've been a singer for a long time. I started out in Northern Ontario, and I won a couple contests called Spirit of the North, and I got to do a little bit of recording up there with a really good friend of mine, Jamie Taylor. So I played in a band with him for a few years, and then I moved down here, and I didn't do anything for a lot of years. It took me a long time to kind of meet new people and get back in the scene. But once I did, I didn't let it go again, and I just kept trying to learn new skills. I did a lot of open mics to begin with, but being a singer was a barrier for me because you were always reliant on a band. So the band fell apart for the second time. And I kind of, the whole time, my good friend Nick Ross was kind of nudging me to learn the ukulele. He thought it would be a good instrument for me, paired with my voice, as well, to help me learn how to write independently, because I would co-write prior to that. Basically, so I picked it up, and my goal, it went really well. The first night that I bought it, I think I spent like 5 hours or something ridiculous straight. Like they say at the song, played it till my fingers bled.
Yep.
Basically, I did that. My fingers hurt. I played it till I couldn't play anymore, and I just fell in love with it. And that first week, my goal was to be doing my own shows within a year, because I figured, based on my progress that week, that's what I should be able to do. And I reached that goal.
That's awesome.
Yeah, and I've done about just over 50 shows now since I started gigging myself.
And you started gigging last
fall, so like last October 13th, actually. It's just been over a year. Yeah.
So 50 shows in just over a year.
Yeah.
It's like a show a week.
Yeah. Sometimes there was more, like sometimes there was 3 or 4. Sometimes you'd take a week off. Sometimes you'd have a few. It depends on the opportunities. So
yeah, I suppose.
yeah, you would take the good ones when they came.
Wow. That's incredible.
Yeah.
And like the title Bittersweet Remedy and your songs in general, I'm always curious whenever I talk to musicians, like how you actually, what triggers those titles? What inspires those songs?
Yeah.
Like what inspired this?
Yeah. So Bittersweet Remedy is a line in one of my songs called See Through Lies. The song See Through Lies is actually about the breakup of my band. It's the greatest heartbreak of my life, really. It was my first band breaking up. I was pregnant at the time too, so we basically had to stop because we couldn't fill the positions and kind of gain momentum before it was too late for me to kind of play anymore. So basically that's what that's about. And then Bittersweet Remedy was me learning the ukulele, and that was kind of the resolution to my band breaking up. So it kind of has a twofold meaning.
Interesting. And that band breaking up was around 2-3 years ago?
Well, we broke up, I think that must have been in 2015.
Yeah.
And then I had the baby, and we got some new players. And then we kind of, stuff happened, and we kind of broke up again. Life happens, right? It's hard when there's a lot of different people involved. So that was happening. And then Nick Ross, the guy that I started the band with, kind of was helping me get equipment and figuring out how to use it so I could do it for myself and kind of promote myself and do my own show.
Right.
Yeah.
Did you, as you started to get your own equipment, like how much were you actually bringing to the gigs? Like, were you bringing full sound system, or was it just like
With the band or with myself or
With
both?
yourself.
Yeah, it's full. Like I can do a full sound system. So I have powered speakers. So it's basically like 4 or 5 trips from the vehicle.
Wow. So you're really self-sustaining.
Yes. Yeah. So I can do it anywhere, right? I can do an
Right.
outdoor gig. I can do private parties. I could do venues that don't have sound systems, or I can run a soundboard and plug into a system that has a venue. So I've really, really learned more in this last year than I have in my entire career, basically.
Almost because you were forced to. It
Yes.
sounds like.
Yeah. So it's bittersweet, but I wouldn't change it for the world, right?
Right.
It really, I kind of was forced to do it, but there's no better feeling than to be able to do that for yourself and not have to rely on other people.
Well, now you're at a good advantage now because you could have other people rely on you.
I can. Wow. Yeah. I
There
can.
you go. You've got all the power.
Well, it's nice. It's a nice position to be in because I do run other shows sometimes, and I can bring in other talented musicians. Like at my release, November 17th, Mike Trudgeon, who is a phenomenal fingerpick styling guitarist, he's opening for us. So I'm so excited to be working with him. But I get to meet so many people that I wouldn't get to meet otherwise. So it's been great. But yeah, I don't have to worry about not being able to do it because I can always do it for myself now. So it's great.
What was the hardest bit to learn?
Probably the technology part because I'm not good at that kind of stuff. Nick Ross, my old bandmate, I was spoiled, really. I was spoiled. I would just kind of do the socializing part and the networking because that's my forte.
Right.
I love meeting people and I love talking and making connections. And he would kind of set up and get us going. So that was the hardest part, but he taught me how to do it. He helped walk me through it a few times until I was comfortable. And then I basically color coded everything. So the chords would be like pink on this chord and then pink where it goes. Because it's quite complex. There's a lot of cables and I know how to set it up now and I know how to set it up for plan A, B, and C because technology goes wrong. But those first few shows were really nerve-wracking, kind of just hoping that I got it right. But like I do run my own show, but I've had a lot of support along the way and I've got a lot of great friends that have helped me. So I've had people come as a backup just in case, until I felt comfortable.
Right.
And on the album, I've had a lot of people help out with that. Like Mike Marucci of Sonic Zen Studios. He's the one that produced it. And we recorded there in London. And Anne Menez, she has a band called Nimue. She's also a recording engineer, and she also helped produce the album. So she helped with all the arrangements. Because I wrote the songs and I wrote the vocals and the ukulele with it, but I'm a very green musician. There's a lot that I don't know. So for me to fully produce a song and write all the instrument parts, that's beyond me. So I was lucky to have a lot of great help with that. Her husband, Nick Eli, was on drums on all of on the songs that have drums. Nick Ross contributed to the album too with guitar. Algernon Friolet, this musician that I love everything he does. He's out of Kitchener. He played guitar on See Through Lies and Renegade. So I'm super happy about all the people that got to help out. Tracy Frank was on saxophone on most of the tracks, and then Brian Balarjan as well was on See Through Lies on saxophone. So there's a lot of people that helped out with this album. But it was great that I got to kind of make the decisions and pick who I wanted to help, and figure out how it was going to come together.
Right. That's wow. Yeah, I've never recorded an album.
It was way more, there was way more things that I never thought I would have to think of. Like even getting a UPC code for it, like that was a 3-day ordeal.
Yeah, little details like that, UPC codes and The album, like I've done, the extent of my musical ability is I've played around with Sony's Acid Music and GarageBand.
Yeah.
And just done self-release stuff on Bandcamp.
Yeah, that's still awesome.
Yeah, it's fun. It's not really anything major. It's kind of a fun thing to do.
Yeah, for sure. It's a great outlet.
But it's, when you actually get into it seems like the writing of the music is the easy part.
Yeah, totally. Totally.
There's everything else, like the promotion.
Yes. The writing is the natural part. I think that the writing and the performing is the natural part, and then everything else is learned. Like the self-promotion is so hard.
Yeah.
It's so hard to do. I'm lucky that I've got a lot of friends and family that help me do that. They share my music. I'm on Facebook under Leanne Mayer Music, so you can check out my page. But I notice everybody that checks out my page and likes it, all that stuff really counts because the self-promotion is the worst part of it.
Right.
And some of the other creative decisions, like just figuring out what the design is going to look like and coordinating people to help with that. It was all such a learning process. It's not my natural ability. So like the music part is what I love. So I'm very excited to have it done and to kind of get back into the writing mode over the winter and to get going with the band and then come back in the spring kind of with a new fire.
Right.
And hit some of the festivals with the new EP and the new band.
Right. Mm-hmm. And have you got another album in the work yet, or is it a little early?
It's a little early for that. It's been because I'm a part-time musician and I work and I've got kids, kind of just getting the EP out there. I haven't had a lot of time to write since pretty much almost a year ago.
Right.
So now that this is all done, after I have the release show finished, it'll be back to writing and that'll be more of the focus. So hopefully, definitely in the spring, I'll have some new stuff.
Cool.
That will be playing at the live shows and we'll have the full band going too. So I'm very excited about that.
That's hugely exciting. Mm-hmm. Now, I know that some musicians have experimented with releasing one or two like singles on iTunes or whatever other platforms are.
Yeah.
Have you thought about experimenting with that sort of stuff?
Yeah, I could. Part of it, I think part of it is funding, right? It's so expensive to go into the studio and to do a full length album is, tens of thousands of dollars to do it, right? So, I could. Likely I'll release a single before I do another full-length album just because of funding and it takes so much. But yeah, that's definitely an option. And collaborating too. I would love to collaborate with other artists, that kind of thing too. So yeah, there's so many possibilities. It's great. I never thought I would get to do this.
Right.
So anything else is basically icing for me.
No kidding. Is this something that you... like when you were a kid, you were like, yes, I want to be a musician one day, and this will be my path.
Yeah, it was my secret dream for sure. Like I remember being in my bedroom as a kid and listening to my tape recorder and rewinding it and singing it again in my room, but never telling anybody that I wanted to do it for fear of, rejection or being laughed at or failure. So it took me a long time to really come into myself. And it was until I was 19. Basically, I went out when I was 19. I used to work in corrections at a young offenders home when I first started my career. And the cook there was Jamie Taylor. He was my hometown, kind of the big musician in my town. He had written the town song. He would play everywhere. And he was very well known. So he worked there. We all went out to do karaoke, and it was my first time going. He heard me sing and he convinced me basically to go in this contest that was a week later to win recording time. So we jammed a couple times. I went in the contest. We made the finals and then we actually won.
Wow.
Yeah, it was super exciting because it was like, my young 19-year-old dreams coming true, finally getting to do some music and it kind of going well so fast. So yeah, we went in that competition 2 years in a row. We got to record some of his songs. It was before I was writing or anything. And then I played with him in a band for a few years before I moved down here. And then I just lost my connections. I was in a new city and it took a long time to kind of get back to it because I didn't have an instrument.
And what year was this around?
When I came to London?
Yeah.
I came to London in 2003. So from 2003 until 2013, I did nothing.
Oh, wow.
With music. And I tried dabbling in all sorts of things to kind of fill that void. I tried roller derby. I tried jewelry sales. Anything you can think of, I tried. But there was always something missing. And then I just took a risk. Basically, I answered a Kijiji ad. This guy, Tyler Campbell, he's a well-known musician in London here. He plays with Dustbin Flowers. He plays in another band called Karen Parrott. But he's been in a lot of different things. He's around Fitzroy's a lot too. Playing with bands, and Jeffy B, he plays with a lot. But he was looking for somebody to start a band with. So I answered the ad. We talked on the phone, I think, and via email, and we decided to meet at Carrie's open mic, which is across the street from the college.
Yeah.
So you can picture I'm a little bit older than the college kids, but I took a risk. I went there. I met him. It was great. We sang. I met Nick Ross, my bandmate, that night, and I met Jordan McDonald from Texas King, who is a good friend of mine too. And I met a lot of great connections that night, and I ended up doing some music with Tyler for a bit, and then I started doing some music with Nick, and then the rest was history. Basically, we kept with Nick. He asked me to record with him for a school project because he was in the music industry arts program. Then we started writing together, and basically we didn't have goals. We just kept going. We decided to put a cover band together to make some extra cash for the summer, but then we started writing. So then we thought, hey, let's kind of go with a band thing, and then it took off more than we expected. We were getting gigs around London, but then it had the start and stops.
Right.
And then brings us to now, basically.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
I love hearing about those different detours that we take to get to where we actually want to go.
Yeah, life is definitely not linear.
Yeah, no.
For most people.
Not at all. I've found that with my own stuff, man.
Yes.
So another thing I was thinking about was you were talking about the self-promotion, and we were talking a little bit earlier about it's easier now to record your own stuff.
Yes.
It's definitely easier now to record your own stuff, and I imagine back in the day winning that studio time was a big deal.
Oh, it still is now. You can record your own stuff, but you still have to have a lot of knowledge. So you can record your own stuff if you've done extensive studies. So if you've went to taken a music program, or you just happen to be very technically savvy.
Right.
But I had to pay for studio time. I had to pay for studio time, hence the gigging.
Right.
It's not cheap if you're paying a good studio, but you're paying them to help you produce it, right? To be that ear, to make it sound like it wasn't, you didn't self-record it, basically.
Right. So that you're paying for the professionals.
Yes, yeah.
That makes sense. Is the expensive studio time, is that a barrier to entry for a lot of people, for a lot of musicians, would you say? It
can be, yeah, for sure. A lot of people, that's why they don't have a professional album out, because it's, it can be $1,000 per song, $1,000 to $2,000, depending on what studio you're going with, who you're paying to play on it with you. So, a full-length album could be, $10,000 to $20,000.
Yeah, that's more money than I've got on me.
Me too, my friend.
Wow. I could see how that would be a huge barrier.
Yeah, so it's hard. It's hard to save money, right? You kind of want to go into the studio having the money set aside. And there are different grants that you can write to. There's factor funding, but it's very competitive, and a lot of people don't get it. So you've kind of got to rely on yourself, unless you've got a lot of people that want to kind of buy into the project, but that again would take networking.
Right.
So basically the best way to do it is to save the money and to do it yourself. Basically I said I was gigging. So every gig I would do 1 to 2 to 3 to 4, sometimes gigs a weekend. And I just had a jar, and I would just put the money in the jar, and all that would be studio time. It wouldn't go to bills or all the other things that life, throws at you. I would just make sure. And luckily my husband was very supportive too. He would let me keep all of that, for it. And that's how I managed to get it done.
That's dedication.
Yeah. And it took a year, right, to save the money. Because even printing the albums, that's another huge expense.
Holy crap.
Yes.
That's the one thing I've looked into.
Yes.
That's the one thing I've looked into, and it was expensive enough that I went, I don't think I want to just do this as a gag.
Yes. And it was very important to me to have it at a certain level. Like once you open it up, you'll see there's an actual lyrics insert.
Really?
Yes. And
Whoa.
the cover art on it is by Bev Camp. If you've ever been to any local show, you've seen the dancing cowboy at the front, at all the cool shows. Basically, Bev's everywhere. He's got a better social life than anybody I know. But he did the cover art for that. And then I've got the lyrics in there, and I actually have the chords as well. Because that's something that when I get an album, like I would love to have the chords because I would love to play the music. So another dream is if anybody wants to cover my music, I want to make it easy for them.
Oh, that's an awesome idea.
Yeah, so that costs more money, right? And it costs like hundreds of dollars more to have an insert.
Yeah.
But for me, you never know what tomorrow brings. You never know if you're going to have another opportunity to do something like this. So for me, I wanted to kind of be true to my vision and do it the way I wanted to do it.
Well, and you've given your kids one hell of a show and tell item too.
I'm hoping I'm the cool mom.
Yeah, they better take it in. Come on. That's having a lyrics insert though. Like I have not seen a commercial album do that in so long.
Yeah, it was great. I worked with a graphic designer too that helped me do it. From I think it was Cowbell Graphics. Scott Finelson of Cowbell Nation, here in London. And he helped me I had my vision and I knew what I wanted, and he helped me arrange it so it was perfect.
Right. And who actually pressed and printed the CDs?
Denis Gauthier. He's out of St. Thomas. He's a local musician. They've got kind of a side business where they help with pressing. I'm not sure if they have a business name, but most people, if they know musicians in London, have heard of Denis Gauthier.
Cool.
He plays with Sarah Smith. He
Yes.
just came back on the tour from Europe with Sarah. So he's got, and the customer service was phenomenal. I would definitely recommend working with Denis and his wife.
That's all. Yeah, Sarah Smith. They were over in Europe, eh?
Yeah, for a month, I think.
Wow.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, Sarah is as nice as she is talented. She's I was lucky to meet her once, and she was just such a beautiful person, just in her music. She's just really deserves everything that she's gotten. She's so talented.
Yeah, she's incredible. Mm-hmm. I feel like the last time I saw her was at Laura Gagnon was running Dollhouse Showcase. It was the 2-year anniversary last December.
Yeah, that sounds right.
I feel like she was there.
Yeah.
I feel like I've seen her since at another event. But.
I know she was just at Western Fair this summer.
Okay.
But she's everywhere.
Yeah.
She's everywhere.
Yeah, she's one of those that doesn't sit still.
Oh, no. Yeah, she's doing great.
That's awesome. What about you? Is there going to be a European tour in your future?
Not this coming year, but I'm not, I'm not closed to anything that comes. I'm open to what happens. I don't have any expectations. I just want to make music. I'm lucky that I get to play music in front of people and not just in my basement. And I'm lucky to get to collaborate and work with a lot of talented musicians where I get to learn every day. Like the level of musicians that I'm getting to play with, it boggles my mind that these people want to play with me because I feel so green in the industry. But some of these people have so much talent, and I'm lucky to get to work with them and learn from them. I'm lucky I get to be a better musician because they're so talented. I inevitably learn
Right. Well, you surround yourself with those awesome people, you are bound to get better.
Yes, absolutely.
And the fact that you have this many people that believe in you enough and have helped out, and you've got an album out. I mean, that doesn't sound green to me.
Yeah. I guess I'm tend to sell myself short, but it's been a lot of learning for me. And there's still, the more you learn, you realize how much more you have to learn.
Oh God, yeah.
So it's like a drop in the bucket, really, to what there is out there. But definitely, I've learned a lot this last year that will help carry me forward to the next level, and whatever that is, I'm excited to see. It's going to be an exciting year.
It's interesting too, because I'm seeing parallels between you writing this album and doing the entire production behind it and releasing it and promoting it and really getting into the sales world in a way.
Yes, yeah, it's a business basically.
Yeah.
Like, as a musician, you're a small business. You've got to promote, you've got to book, you've got to negotiate, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Delegate, hire people, you're paying people to do different things. And
then the financial and tax side, I'm sure, is fun.
Yes.
Like, did you do any of that, or?
Not yet, because this year, basically my expenses are more than I've brought in, basically because of the costs of the album, the
Right.
recording, the printing it. So I'm basically in the negative right now. But we'll see what this next year brings.
Right. Well, I mean, that's how businesses work.
Absolutely.
You almost never. I was talking with Greg about that on the last podcast, and he said, his first year in business, he had, what did he say? He had a $4 profit.
Yeah.
You do spend, and I found this with the startup that I'm launching, Tractus, the event app, it's you when you're working on, something that starts out as a passion project. It's tough, man.
Super tough. Yeah.
You're reinvesting for me, you talk about how the writing is the easy part.
Yes.
For you. For me, the programming of this app, that's the easy part.
Yeah.
It's everything
The part
else.
that you love doing too.
Yeah. Well, most times.
Yeah. Same.
Yeah, most times. Every now and then you just get to that, there's programmer's block. Did you ever find when you were writing some of those songs too, that you'd get to a point where you're writing the song and you're stuck?
Oh,
You've almost got writer's block?
Absolutely. And you just try to step away from it. You take a break. You try to listen to other music. Maybe you leave it for a week, right? Go out and see some shows, read some books, try to distract yourself and just walk away, come back with a clear mind, or collaborate, play it with some of your friends. Sometimes if you're blocked, it's great to kind of get a fresh set of ears, like anything else. Right.
How did the writing process look for you?
For me, basically, I would have a little bit of free time because my kids were young. So my baby was just born, and then my daughter was not 2 yet. So I did the bulk of the writing with a baby and a 1-year-old when I would sync their naps, basically. So I'd get an hour or two here, and then at bedtime, I'd get a couple hours. And I would just start basically strumming a tune. And I would kind of think, how does this make me feel? And a lot of times I would kind of get ideas as to what the song would make me feel like, or I would go in with an idea thinking I'd like to write a song of this topic. But it's funny, like you finish a song and you almost don't even realize how you wrote it. It almost seems like it came out through you somehow, which seems really bizarre, but you can feel all the pieces clicking together. Like I would start with a verse generally. And a lot of times I would write 2 verses and then I would start to tackle the chorus. And you'd get the chorus and then you would play it through and go into the other verse. And that's when you'd, be like, oh, good, this is really going to work out. Now I've just got to write, a bridge and an ending. But
Right.
The best part for me was getting the verse into the chorus and then coming back in and then being like, okay, this is going to fly.
So figuring out those transitions.
Yes, the transitions was the hardest part for me.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And so some of the songs you would do some strumming and write the lyrics around that based on what you felt?
Yeah. So I kind of go in with an idea. Like the first song that I wrote, it's called Whatever Will Be. I'm not sure which number it was. I think it
Number
might be
5.
the last one on the album. That was the first one I wrote. And basically it was when the band was breaking up and I was kind of moving on to my own solo project. So I would kind of just think about how I felt, and the feeling of the song was like, it was an ending, but it's a new beginning. Like it's not necessarily a bad thing that it broke up. It kind of pushed me in a new direction, and it helped me learn things along the way to do that. So basically, I totally forgot where I was going with that. I apologize, Elias.
No worries.
But I think it was about writing.
Yeah, just because you were talking about going in, strumming, and then...
yeah, and then some of the lyrics. So a lot of times I would come up with the chords. I would record that, and I would just... The kids would wake up, right? And then I'd be doing my day, and I would just play it while I was taking care of the kids, while I was feeding them meals, and I would kind of get a melody in my head. So then I would have the chords, and I would have a melody that I would kind of hum, and then sometimes words would just kind of come to me, and I would write the bare bones of the song, and it would be almost too simple sometimes. So I would go back line by line and try to make it more complex and more not direct. So a lot of times when I would first write, it would be almost too descriptive. So I would want to kind of make it more flowery, really, and more so not literal. Sort of, how am I feeling? What is another way to say this? So I would rewrite, basically, until I was happy with it. And then I would get a first draft. I would play it a bit. And sometimes it would change along the way, even still, melody or lyrics a little bit.
Right. Mm-hmm. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
Because I've been trying to learn a little bit of music theory.
Yeah.
I've been playing around, like, there's a ukulele back there in the box.
Ooh.
Yeah. That was a birthday gift from the parents.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah, I love it. It is. I love playing that thing.
Oh, yes.
I can just barely play a few chords, but it's still a lot of fun.
Yeah, totally. You only need a few chords for a song, basically.
That's what I found.
Yeah,
like knowing just like 4 or 5 different chords. I'm like,
oh yeah, 4 or 5. You're laughing. Like,
yeah.
You could even look up 3-chord songs. There's so many.
The first song I learned to play on it was, I had a couple friends that had birthdays within like 2 days of each other.
Yeah.
And so I quickly learned the chords for Happy Birthday.
Yes.
And just played those over the phone. I played one over Facebook and played one over the phone for another friend of mine.
That's awesome.
And that was a lot of fun to do that.
Yeah, totally.
And nerve-wracking, because the last time I did any music was in choir for elementary school.
It is definitely putting yourself out there, but once you kind of get over the fear of judgment and just not worry what anybody thinks, it's so freeing.
I've learned that with the gym.
Yes, with any aspect of life, right?
Yeah.
Just don't worry about what anybody's thinking. Just be yourself, and it's so much easier. Yeah.
It is so much easier to live, and not just that, but live with the decisions that you make.
Totally. Yeah.
I was having that conversation with the girlfriend over the weekend about, what decisions have I made in life, and what decisions have I made where somebody else's hand was on that lever?
Yes, totally. They normally don't stick or work out because it's not true to yourself a lot of times.
Yeah.
Definitely easier if you're following your heart.
Yeah. And that's not always easy either.
Totally not easy. So many times I had to go against what the popular decision was. It might be hard at the time, but definitely worth it in the long run.
Yeah. And generally because you can turn around to everybody else and say, you know what, trust me.
Yeah, and it's nice when you're on the other side, right? It's tough when you're in it, though. It's tough when you're in it. But trying to think positive, right? Just the glass is half full all the time. It's going to be a better tomorrow. I try to live by that. It might be a tough day to day, but what are little steps you can do to make it better?
Right.
And try to just take those little steps. And that's how that EP came along, was just little steps. There was a lot of challenges. There was some tears even. It was stressful. I'm not going to lie.
Oh, I bet.
But little steps, and it happened. It just took time, right? It's not that I am better or smarter than anyone. It's just that I did it. I kept doing it, right?
Right.
I'm more of a sucker for punishment.
What was the hardest part?
The hardest part was keeping to do it, funding it. Like, it was a lot of money, trusting in myself too, trusting that it was going to come through the way my vision had it, and finishing. So doing the final, going to the studio, getting all the people, collaborating their schedules while working, while being a mom, around other people's schedules too, and trying not to, take too much time away from my family or away from my other responsibilities. But I'm lucky. I've had a lot of great support, but probably that was the hardest because it's me performing and writing, and just socializing with people is my favorite part of being a musician. So I love the energy of being on the stage and getting to meet people, and hearing different people's stories. That's the best part for me. So the studio, I'm not a classically trained musician, so it's hard for me. I've had to work at my rhythm, work at my playing, and all that kind of stuff. So that the studio, and getting this into fruition, getting the CD actually into my hand, getting it onto iTunes, that was all the hardest part because it's not my natural skill.
Right. But now you've got that skill in your wheelhouse.
Yes. And now I'm glad it's over. And now the next time won't be as hard because I'll know what I'm doing, or if any of my friends are doing something like this, I can kind of help out along the way and give them tips, because a lot of things were tough and it took a lot of time to research different things and find out what was the best, most cost efficient way to do things.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And I imagine too, especially given how expensive this can get.
Yes.
Is you want to spend every single dollar as wisely as you can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow. What was the most stressful part?
The most stressful part was the timelines. So in the summer, I booked my Northern Ontario release, and it was just this past weekend, October 19th, 20th weekend. But I had to book that months in advance when I was still kind of getting this finished with recording and mastering. Then we had to go into the design, and all that kind of thing. So just meeting the timelines. The image on the front too is by a local artist. She just moved to London. She's 19 years old now. She was 18 when she did that.
Oh, wow.
Her name's Raquel Gonzalez. So I was working with her to do the cover art. And everybody's got lives and schedules, right? So just making sure that everything was on track, from the cover art to the photo shoot that we did with Chris Jenkins. He's of St. Thomas. He's been a phenomenal support to me. All the pictures that you see in the album of me are by him. So just collaborating everything and keeping everything on track and checking in with people. That was the hardest, most stressful part, because everything takes so much time. So I had to get it from the designer to get it into the people that were pressing it. And, that takes 10 to 14 days and this takes 10 to 14 days. So you kind of have to project months in advance. Basically, I got the EP October 9th. And the release was October 19th.
Whoa.
So that was cutting it a little close for comfort.
No kidding.
And then the shirts that I picked up for the EP release, I think I picked up on the 15th out of Kitchener from Civilian Printing. None of them was their fault. It was all me meeting the timelines and getting everything in order. But I was lucky that everybody was able to kind of hustle and help me meet the timelines.
No kidding.
Yeah.
October 15th. That's close.
Oh, it was close. It was close.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, wow. That suddenly it's funny because I'm thinking about this is a physical thing that's in people's hands now.
Yes.
And I'm thinking about my own life in the software world, and where in the software world, we freak out if there's a slippage in deadlines.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's the impact is not nearly as severe.
It depends. Like it was tough because I really like it was an EP release in Northern Ontario, so I really wanted to have the stuff. They
Right.
wouldn't have. They wouldn't have minded because Northern Ontario people are fabulous and very forgiving. But it was very important to me to have it with me for the release. That was the whole point of going.
Sure.
So it was super stressful trying to meet those deadlines, and I was cutting it very close. But it's because I wanted every step to be perfect. Like the design came out exactly the way I wanted. The graphic that Raquel Gonzalez did for me is perfect. The image Bev Camp did is wonderful. So everything everybody did is surpassed my expectations.
Yeah, just looking at this album, I've got it in my hand right now. Just looking at it, like you can tell that heart and soul has gone into this.
Definitely.
This isn't just let's put out something. Like when I first saw the kind of the maroon background here, I'm looking at the album art. It's this beautiful, very intricate ukulele with a butterfly and skull design.
Yes.
And it's not just a maroon background, it's a canvas.
Yes.
It's a painted canvas maroon background. That's beautiful.
Yes, Scott, the designer, I envisioned just a red background, but he brought that forward, and I immediately loved it.
The texture, that texture just makes it a little bit more.
Yes, yeah, definitely gives it depth. It's like an old book, like an old encyclopedia.
Yeah.
From the 80s.
Yeah, one of the World Book encyclopedias.
Yes. And then the butterfly design, I have a tattoo on my back and it's got a big wings with a peacock inside it. So that's where that image came from. Raquel worked with me to kind of incorporate that into... I basically met her. I was the weekly musician or the house musician for the Burnt Brick Cafe when they used to have music out of Woodstock. And she was affiliated with the owner somehow doing some kind of art show. And I followed Raquel on Instagram and she had made a guitar picture and it had this flower design in it. And she also had different skulls, and she was phenomenal at drawing skulls, and it's right up my alley. Like my uke strap, it has skulls and roses on it. So I was like, I'm gonna follow this girl on Instagram. And I don't even think she had the guitar picture when I followed her. I just liked her images, and then she put out that guitar picture, and I'm like, I have to contact her to see if we can work together, if she wants to help me design my album cover. And it's actually, I've got t-shirts printed with her design as well.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it was great. I got to meet a lot of talented people on the way that I wouldn't otherwise get to meet. It's been a wonderful journey for me.
That is so cool. That is so incredibly cool. I hope this is not your last album.
I hope
truly.
not too.
I think you've got more.
I think so too. The trip to Northern Ontario really helped give me a break. It's a long drive up there. It's like basically 8 to 10 hours depending on construction and traffic. So I had a lot of time to kind of think about new ideas and kind of step back and just refresh. So I'm gearing up for the November 17th release. And then after that, going back to the drawing board and getting some new songs out and gearing up with the band and then coming back full force in the new year. I'll probably still be doing some solo gigs here and there along the way. But definitely we're going to be coming back strong in the spring.
When you were doing some of the solo gigs, did you use those to test out some of the songs on the album?
Absolutely.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, I was lucky to have gigs to be able to run it by people. I would, play it for the audience, see how they reacted. I would also play it for friends before I had gigs to test it out. I didn't do too many open mics that year. I was lucky that I had past connections that I could just reach out to the venue owners that kind of trusted me already from my past, work with the bands, and I got gigs right away. So I was lucky to be able to test them out. Especially at the Burnt Brick, because I was there every 2 weeks. So it was a great opportunity to be able to try new material and see how people react. And songs would evolve along the way too. Sometimes you write a melody a certain way and it changes as you play it live. That's part of the beauty of testing it out and playing it before you record.
Cool. Did you ever let the audience know?
That it changed, or
Or that you were testing new stuff?
sometimes, but normally I would tell them after the fact, because then if you tell them it's new or you tell them you're nervous or anything like that, they'll pay more attention.
Yeah.
Because I was new to the ukulele, so when I started gigging, I had only been playing it for about a year. So I wouldn't tell people that until I was like halfway through the show. I'd wait till they liked me already, because then they would be less maybe critical, or they'd be like, wow, like it's hard to believe. But if you tell them right away, maybe they'll listen a bit closer and kind of listen a bit more intently. So that was my trick.
Interesting.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, no, that's a great way to live, man.
Yeah.
Did you ever take any speech classes like Toastmasters or Dale Carnegie courses like that to get comfortable doing any public speaking?
No, but I'll tell you, the speaking in between songs was a skill that was acquired. It took some time. It took a lot of time, and it was probably one of the most stressful things, because I knew I could sing. And I was practice singing. So as long as I could sing, I was fine. But as soon as I had to talk, it took a lot of work. But my good friend Nick Ross taught me a lot along the way. And one of his tricks was basically to look at who was paying attention and just talk to them.
Right.
Right. And then other people will start paying attention because you're having fun and you're talking to somebody, you're building a relationship. And that kind of took the edge off. Oh, there's a huge audience here. You would just talk to Mac, that's in the first row, Mac
Right.
and Betty, the couple that came out on their 20th anniversary. And, you'd get to know them a little bit, and then you would see who else was watching, and you would kind of engage them. So that was one of the greatest tips that I learned along the way. But no, I never had any formal training. I've kind of learned by fire, kind of throw me in and do it that way. But I am an employment consultant, so I did study facilitation somewhat. So I do know group dynamics, and facilitating certain topics. So that has somewhat helped me with engaging people too.
Right.
But as far as public speaking, no, that was
Wow.
it took a lot of work. And I remember before, when I first started, just holding the mic and just being scared, and just the dead silence in between. Like, that is every musician's worst fear, is the dead noise in between. You always want to kind of keep people engaged, keep their attention, because it's very easy to lose people.
Oh, yeah. It's interesting you say that too. I've just, having been involved in Mo Mondays
Yes.
and watching a lot of those shows, I've always fascinated to see musicians who are just, they'll come out and they will sing a song, and you'll just be completely blown away by their talent.
Yes.
And there have been some unbelievably talented people on that stage.
Yes.
But then they'll speak and they'll tell a little bit about their story, and you'll get that sense of they would rather run off and hide in a corner.
Yes. Because like many people that are self-employed and do that kind of thing, it takes so many different skills from so many different types of personalities.
Yeah.
Most people don't have, their forte isn't every aspect. So a lot of musicians either love writing or performing or recording, but some phenomenal musicians even hate performing for a live audience. They would rather be in the studio and create that way, because it is stressful being in front of people.
Yeah.
And some of it is just talking in between. Like, they could even be comfortable playing, but it's that talking and exposing people and being vulnerable to that side of yourself.
Yeah.
And even sharing some of the stories. Like, it's hard enough even playing your own music, because you're vulnerable, because it puts you open to opinion. And not everybody's going to like your stuff, and that's just the way it is. And that's okay, right?
Yeah.
There's so many different types of music and so many different types of people. But if one person likes your stuff, you're winning.
That's the best feeling in the world, isn't it?
Yes.
When you get that one person that comes up to you afterwards.
Yes.
I recently had that at Mo Mondays Aurora. I was telling my story up there, and there was a woman in the audience who has cerebral palsy. And so I've got cerebral palsy as well.
Oh, wow.
And she comes up to me and wanted to meet me because she had specifically come to the show to see two people speak.
Yeah.
One was Marav Richter, 'cause she was doing a book launch, and then she wanted to see me because she saw that I had mentioned the cerebral palsy thing.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, that's cool.
It's so cool.
Damn, that's cool.
Yeah, it's so cool. I've had a couple instances where somebody I didn't know said they've heard of me, or they heard an interview on the radio, or they heard my music on the radio, and they came out, and it's just mind-blowing, right? That
You just
somebody
want to hug
came-
them.
Yeah, and I have. I'm a hugger.
You have to. You have to hug those people.
Yeah, it's incredible. It's really incredible that I feel really lucky that I get to do this, and that people are taking interest and enjoying it, and it means something.
Yeah.
I feel so lucky that this is my life and I get to do this.
Well, the best part is that, when I tell my story on the stage, is my hope is that it'll, somebody will take something and, either change their life, or that will help somebody else's life become better one day.
Yes.
And is that something you think about when you're performing your music, or you're sharing it with a group?
Yeah, definitely the dream is to have your music mean something, or to help people get through something. I remember being a teenager and listening to certain music when I was heartbroken, right? That first heartbreak, and just listening to, back in the day, I used to love Jan Arden and Sarah McLachlan.
Yep.
So I remember just listening to their music and it really helping me get past certain things. So for sure, if I could be that for somebody, and my music really helped normalize somebody's feelings,
right,
and help kind of make them see something differently, or make them feel better about something they're experiencing, that's definitely the dream.
Yeah. It's funny that you mentioned that too, because again, girlfriend and I, we've been trading songs back and forth about, here's how we feel in our relationship.
Yeah.
And how it's some songs kind of, we can't necessarily describe how our emotions are feeling. Yeah. But we'll hear a song and just go, holy crap.
Yeah, that resonates.
It resonates big time.
Yeah, because expression is hard, and it is hard to express yourself, especially your feelings, right?
God, yeah.
So music helps me do that. It helps me express myself. So if it can help somebody else express or relate to how they're feeling, for sure. I try to put a lot of feeling and intention into my lyrics and into my writing.
Right.
For sure.
Are there songs or albums that you hear that and it takes you immediately back to a place or time in your life?
Absolutely. There has been so many different musical influences over my life. So a lot of my covers are all different genres. So Bruce Springsteen, Simon and Garfunkel, Buddy Holly, they all remind me of different times. Mr. Jones by the Counting Crows. So that came out when I was in high school. So immediately it brings me back to that. Every song that I play has a certain memory to me. A lot of times I use that too to talk between my songs. I share why I've chosen this song. I don't just play songs generally because I like them. Normally there's some kind of story or significance of why I've chosen it.
Cool.
Yeah.
I've definitely had that where, for me, it's video game music. Mm-hmm. It's video game music. I can go through and go, okay, I was listening to this song at this particular time. And,
yes.
And it's it doesn't necessarily have lyrics or anything, but it's still this is,
Yes. Time is a funny thing. Music can bring you back. Music and smells, right? Can bring you back to a certain time, like a time machine.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy that the type of feelings that music can invoke.
I remember, there's a lot of songs that I've listened to that I go okay, this is, some of the most memorable. I mean, one of the ones that takes me back immediately is, just behind me on the wall there, I've got the Van Halen when they were in London.
Yeah.
That was such a awesome thing. I mean, David Lee Roth's voice is shot at this point, but man, is he fun to watch on stage.
Yeah, I can imagine.
Is he fun to watch on. They all are.
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because, like I said, I grew up in Northern Ontario. I've seen a disturbingly small amount of live, like big musicians. I've seen a lot of like indie musicians and local musicians.
Right.
But large scale concerts, I just haven't seen a lot. I definitely need to get out to more shows, but it's, that's the dream.
I'm surprised at the caliber of shows sometimes we get here in London.
London gets some phenomenal acts. Right now I'm in my kids are so young phase. They need a lot of things and it's hard to kind of get out at night because of, they need somebody to be with them, right?
Yeah. Yeah, you can't just leave them alone yet.
Yeah, not yet. Another 10 years. Good, golden, but
yeah.
But yeah, I definitely need to see some more live music. London is phenomenal, and they definitely, for the size of London, Budweiser Gardens definitely does a great job of attracting some of the large, worldwide famous acts.
Don't they? Mm-hmm. Oh man, you know what? There was. Just before, I think it was 2004, 2005, I remember, because that thing was built, in the early 2000s?
I'm not sure. I came in 2003, and I feel like it was here, but I didn't know London well when I came either, so I could be wrong.
Yeah, it was definitely here by then, but I feel like it was, I want to say 97, 98 when it was, I can't remember.
Yeah.
But it was still pretty new then.
Yeah.
2003.
But good move, London. Good move.
Yeah, that was one of the better moves.
Yeah.
I could say lots about some of the moves city councils made, but I'll save that for another day.
Yes.
But I remember one of the acts they got, which kind of, I feel like it put London on the map in terms of an international destination.
Right.
Was when George Carlin, the comedian, came to town.
Okay.
You remember him?
I do remember him.
Yeah. He, between his Complaints and Grievances and Life is Worth Losing albums, he did a stop in London.
Right.
And it was I was kind of like, what the hell is George Carlin doing in London, Ontario?
Yeah.
How did somebody make a booking mistake?
Yeah.
Like, this is crazy.
Who does he owe a favor to?
Yeah, really. But then we've had other people like we're hosting, did I hear it right? We're hosting the frickin' Junos next year?
Yes, we are.
Oh my God.
I'm so excited to go.
That is so cool.
Yeah.
Like that. And when I think about it too, London's not that small anymore.
It's not small, but it is like for this kind of things we're getting. London is doing a phenomenal job to attract this kind of attention.
Yes.
Definitely doing a great job.
Are you going to be performing at all at Junos?
I wish.
Somebody put your name in. Whoever, Juno people, whoever you are.
Yeah,
Leanne Mayer
that would
is
be
here.
a dream come true. Yeah, but I want to go and be a part of the action. There's going to be so much excitement in the city, and the London Music Awards are coming up this kind of winter spring too. So I'm hoping.
Yes.
I'm very hopeful to get a nomination.
Yep.
For this album.
How can people nominate you?
I feel like it comes up in February, and it's basically you register online. It's free to register. The Forest City London Music Awards. I will definitely post when time comes.
Yep.
And basically you just get nominations, and then if you do get nominated, basically a board looks at all the nominations and looks at the merits of those people, and if you're selected, it's voting based.
Okay.
So I'm hoping to call out if I am lucky enough to be nominated this coming year. I'm hoping to get a lot of support to help, be in good standings to potentially win.
Oh yeah, I remember. You know what? Now I think about it, Laura Gagnon did something very similar. I think she was part of the. She was nominated for something last year.
Probably.
And I remember submitting a couple votes.
Yeah.
I can't remember exactly what was involved, and I feel like I submitted multiple votes and I shouldn't have, but whatever. There was that rule of like one vote per household. And well, I'll just tether the iPad to the phone.
I'll use my alias.
Yeah, we'll do that. So if that was breaking rules, I'm sorry.
You do what you got to do for friends, right?
Yeah, really. Exactly.
Rules are meant to be broken.
Yes, they're there. Or in my case, I like to view rules as the constraints. How far can I push this rule?
Yes. I'm a rebel as well.
Isn't it fun?
It's so fun.
Like someone says, in high school, the rule was that you had to stay in your seat until announcements were over.
Yeah.
In period 1. So I got clever one day and decided, well, let's test this rule. And I was scooching the desk forward and dragging the chair with me, and scooching the desk forward and dragging the chair with me. You know, I got halfway down the hallway before the teacher came out and said, "Oh, Eli, what are you doing?" I'm still in my seat. So then the rule became your entire physical body must be in the room until announcements are over.
The day the rule changed, we will refer to that day as moving forward.
It's fun to be the one that causes the rule to change, yet you technically didn't break it.
Yes. The loophole finder.
Yes.
That's what I like to do on Halloween. I like to go, if I am working on Halloween, I like to go dressed in my pajamas because that's the loophole that I've found, that you can wear your pajamas to work and not be bothered.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
I found that working from home gets you that too.
That does. I've worked from home too. And that is, I guess when I go to work, I'm going to work as somebody that works from home.
Right. Oh, okay. Yeah. So, and that's actually something I wanted to ask you about, because I noticed there was a couple posts on Facebook, because we just, as a few days ago, it was hailing and raining and storming like crazy, and there was a hurricane in the States, and that was all because we legalized marijuana.
Of course.
And it's just, and now it's allowed under certain rules and conditions because we live in a free country.
Yes.
But it's interesting because I've got some lawyers who specialize in employment law, WSIB laws in particular, and with all these changes, they've been trying to keep up with changes around the medicinal marijuana, which has been an interesting thing to follow.
Totally.
And now that we've got recreational marijuana,
which basically came out of nowhere. Like, they were talking about medicinal, and then all of a sudden they're like, recreational is legal. Like, it came fast, I find.
I feel like it came. I mean, we had the switch over in government.
It's long overdue.
Yeah, we had the switch because we had the switch in 2015. We had the general election.
Yes,
and that was the Conservatives were out and the Liberals were in. Mm-hmm. Then it was around then that Trudeau and the Liberals basically said, we're going to legalize pot.
Yes,
and as much as I want to give them flack for taking as long as they did to get around to it, I also sympathize with. It was such a contentious issue.
Huge. The whole world is looking at it too, right? Like all of the repercussions from the States. They're saying you can't even go across the border if you're using recreational marijuana.
Well, I think we're the first G7 country that's made recreational legal.
Yes, across the board.
Just at the federal level. Because at the States, isn't it, they have this weird thing where it's legal at the state level in some states.
Yes.
But it's illegal at the federal level.
Correct.
Which makes no sense whatsoever.
Totally.
And then they have
they're different state by state everywhere. Like, they've got the death penalty in certain states, and then others they don't, right? So they're not consistent, it seems, across the board. Yeah,
because that's what Christ would do. Oops. And this is how I start getting in trouble. Oh, well. And then they've got other weird stuff in their drug law, like, heroin and cocaine are Schedule 2, but marijuana, which that's Schedule 1, which is worse.
Right.
And it just doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, totally.
Like, you're an employment counselor, right?
Correct.
So with the recreational, that was the article that I noticed, was that I think one of the biggest questions with legalization efforts was what's going to happen to people who have sentences and have been convicted of these.
Yes. So they're supposed to be, I know that the pardon process, if you're convicted of possession,
right,
you immediately get a pardon for it. And I think if you're in jail for possession, so possession is different than selling.
Trafficking,
right?
Right.
So if it's a possession charge and that's all they have, I think they're overturning them.
Wow.
But most people that are in jail are not in jail just for possession, right? There's several charges, but the possession will likely be gone. So it could have, it's definitely got positive repercussions for some of my clients that have like possession charges from when they were, 25 years ago. They got caught smoking a joint.
Right.
And now they do a criminal check and they can't work in, certain jobs because they have a criminal record from when they were 19.
Now, when somebody pulls, I've had a criminal record check pulled once or twice, and I've had a more deep background investigation pulled once or twice, and they've never found anything because I have nothing on record.
On record.
I should rephrase that. I've never done anything wrong. I just realized that sounds really bad.
Don't look in the closet.
Yeah. Yeah, really. No, there's I don't have a criminal record of any kind, but when a criminal record is pulled and you have some sort of a conviction on record, is on the piece of paper, does it just say this person has a criminal record, or does it actually give the specifics?
Yeah, it'll give the specific.
Oh,
It'll
okay.
say possession, whatever the charge is, but it doesn't talk about the circumstances. Right?
Yeah,
So it could
true.
be it could be way worse, or it could be not as bad as it sounds.
Right.
Or it could be worse than it sounds.
Yeah, I can see, just if it just says trafficking.
Yes.
It's okay, were you the kingpin or were you just
but is it just you had a large amount of your own and they charged you with trafficking? It's
Right.
hard to say what.
Because that's a wacky little loophole that's been used too to convict people.
Yeah.
Of you have over a certain amount of grams.
This couldn't possibly be for you. Well,
Yeah.
it is. So don't
yeah.
judge me.
Yeah, it's gee, there's a lot of Cheetos in the back, guys. I doubt it's trafficking. It's
Totally. So yeah, as an employment consultant, it's hard when people have a record, right?
Right.
It's hard. And there is the pardon process, but you've got to wait a certain amount of time. It costs a lot of money.
yeah, it's expensive too.
Very
isn't it?
expensive. Very expensive.
It was the note I had said $630.
Yeah, I was going to say it's somewhere under the $1,000 mark. But if you're unemployed, right, that's an impossible figure.
That's a lot of money.
Totally. It's a lot if you are employed. It's
But then there's the wait. I think if there was the $630
Yes.
and it was in 2 weeks, 2 weeks guaranteed,
yeah,
it's done.
Yeah,
I think it would be a lot better of a sell. But
totally. But you've got to wait 7 years to begin with until you're 7 or 10 years past the conviction. And then it's a 6 months to a year process getting the pardon.
7 years past the conviction.
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah. So looking at clients that got simple possession charges,
Yeah.
when they were 20, they would have to wait till they're almost 30 to kind of get that off their record. And some jobs, some jobs in production, jobs working with vulnerable people, so the elderly or disabled, they all require criminal checks.
Or anything in schools.
Yes, and it just says possession, I believe. I don't think it even says possession of marijuana.
Oh.
So it's you've got to get into this uncomfortable discussion with an employer if they even want to hear it. Because they could be biased already because marijuana had such a bad rap for so many years, right?
Yeah. And meanwhile, I look at my parents' generation and they're some of the biggest users today.
Yeah.
I distinctly remember a moment in I'm not going to name names and I'm not going to name the neighborhood.
Yeah.
But I was at a party with a bunch of people around my parents' age.
Yeah.
And they were we were playing a card game and somebody brings out a joint.
Yeah.
And these are people that were, let's say, authority figures in my life during childhood.
Yeah.
And one of them brings out a joint, lights it, and inhales. And I'm like, okay, let's stop here for a second.
Yeah.
You guys all told me that drugs were bad
Yeah.
when I was a child.
Yes.
And now explain to me why this is okay.
Yeah. But it's people are smoking cigarettes and drinking alcohol too, which is a drug, but for some reason it's not classed
Yeah.
the same, which is baffling. to me.
I mean, and you can go through the moralistic approach to this, 6 waves from Sunday.
Yes.
But it's just like at the end of the day, like I don't do any, like I don't smink, I don't smoke, I don't drink, and I don't rollerblade.
Oh, I love rollerblading.
I call that the big three. No, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't do any drugs of any kind aside from caffeine and coffee. But if somebody has made the adult decision and said, you know what, I'm going to do these things, you should be allowed to.
Totally. And I think like classing marijuana and like heroin or meth, like grouping it all into the same category, it's not the same category, right? But when you're a child, drugs are all classed in the same category. And I don't think marijuana ever should have been classed in that category. Personally.
No, absolutely not. I mean, there's definitely a lot of credible scientific literature that says under a certain age, there are some effects of, because there's the two chemicals in marijuana. There's the THC and what's the other one? It sort of counteracts the THC.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about, but I totally don't know the technical name.
Yeah, I can't remember it. But anyway, I didn't know this.
CBD, maybe.
CBD, yeah. There's the THC and the CBD, and the one basically counteracts the other.
Yeah, and one is wonderful for pain management,
Yes.
whereas doctors overprescribe opiates that people get addicted to and die from.
Yeah.
Right? So it's groundbreaking that they're using this now for pain management.
Well, I had a friend actually who had same age as me. So this was back in 2015. We were both 27. He got this really rare form of stomach cancer.
Right.
Or intestinal cancer, excuse me.
Yeah.
And like to give you an idea of how aggressive it was, like in March, there was a little bit of pain.
Yeah.
In April, the thing was the size of a friggin' baseball.
Yeah, unreal.
Now the good news was that because it was so aggressive, it was very easy to treat. So they basically just they did surgery on him and just blasted the hell out of his system with chemotherapy for like a year.
Right.
And I never want to see, like, chemotherapy is a horrible experience to watch anyone go through.
Yeah. Cancer is terrible.
The fact that anyone comes out of chemotherapy alive just baffles me.
Yeah.
Like, just holy crap. But he, during his chemotherapy treatments, one of the major side effects is that you lose your appetite.
Absolutely. And the nausea.
Yeah. And I remember he was prescribed, it wasn't medicinal marijuana, but it was medicinal THC. And that helped him get his appetite back so that he would actually eat.
Yeah, totally.
And he's another one, like nearly all of my friends, we're all kind of in the same group. We don't smoke, drink, do drugs, anything like that. And to have him kind of ingest something that has that negative connotation with it and see the insanely positive benefits from it.
Yes. Yeah.
Was just, it was eye-opening.
Absolutely. Yeah. It would change your opinion, how you'd see it for sure.
And the same lawyers I've been talking to about this, about the changes in employment law and talking about the effects of marijuana and getting opioid prescriptions down. I mean, we need to figure out something about this opioid epidemic.
Absolutely.
And fast.
Yes.
Because we're not, like, in the computer science industry. I keep saying this to computer science people now. Maybe with the podcast, I've got more of a platform to do this. With the next wave of automation about to hit us, and it's about to hit us in the trucking industry.
Oh yeah, that's a whole other podcast. Totally, we're bracing for it in the employment consulting world. Now that the next decade is totally going to knock that industry on its side and change it.
And we don't have an answer for that right now.
No, we don't.
Have you found folks that are coming through for counseling, like what's the biggest struggle they've got? What's the biggest barrier aside, like, let's ignore any of the legal side. Let's assume that it's somebody that's just like clean record and everything. Like, what's the toughest
There's like, I
barrier?
see all different types of clients. So I see from high school up to 70-year-olds. So I've got people that have disabilities. I have people that have been out of the workforce for, a decade due to raising children or a disability, and they're looking to kind of get back in there. I've got new Canadians that are new to the country and don't know how to find employment. or know where the resources are. Or I have people that are older that are looking for part-time work or that shouldn't be working and they don't know what agencies can help them. So all types of people, all types of barrier. One of the biggest ones is lack of education. So with automation and the way the world is going, even entry-level jobs, you almost need college for.
Right.
So it's tough. There's a lot of people with education even that can't find jobs.
Right.
So it's all sorts of things. Social skills too. So personality. Some people have trouble self-marketing and trouble networking. So just because you're good at your job, so say you're a fabulous engineer, you have all this experience from all different facets, you don't know how to network maybe,
Right.
or you don't know how to research to find out where are places that would be viable for you to try to meet, or you don't know how to meet people in the sector. You just think, applying online is the way to go.
Right.
So we talk about the hidden job market and tapping into that and getting into your sector, but definitely all people with all sorts of barriers. And I've been there in my life. I think I said earlier, I used to work in corrections with young offenders and I was injured on the job. And then I got retrained as an employment consultant. It's been over a decade now. But a lot of people don't have a linear path, and a lot of things can happen in your life that are unplanned that kind of shakes you from that thought. Just like we were talking about opinions on drugs when you're growing up, right? You
Right.
know what you know based on your environment and what you've been exposed to. So a lot of people come to me that are just starting down a new path and they really don't know the steps to take to get there. So I help figure it out.
Oh, wow. Mm-hmm. Wow. The automation side is really going to it's going to turn things on. It's going to turn the world on its head.
Absolutely.
I remember I was teaching a course a couple years ago, introductory programming course. Mm-hmm. I remember the people that I had in that class, it was interesting because there were a couple people that I was like, okay, you've got the mind and you've got the psyche for this.
Yes.
You can totally do this.
Yes.
And I remember there were a couple of people that they were in a really uncomfortable position in their life, in that they had been working in either some sort of a manufacturing
Yes.
or assembly line job.
Yeah.
And they got laid off or fired from that because
Technology.
because technology or because the plant closed or whatever reason you want to give.
Yes.
And they were trying to find something that would bridge them between now and when they could collect their pension.
Totally.
And I remember thinking at the time, you're taking on all this debt
Yeah.
to get retrained in the hopes that it's going to pay off, and you're going up against, and in the programming industry, I make no bones about this.
Yeah.
If you're entering it, it's a rough go.
Yeah.
There are so many bright minds,
Totally.
especially in the entry level jobs. There are so many bright young minds that they will put in the hours.
Yes.
They will go without sleep.
And that's their life, right? Like
Yeah.
a lot of people, that is their life and that's why they got into it. So it's highly competitive.
Yeah. And
It's tough for the young people to get into the careers, and part of it is and it's good and bad, right? There's no retirement age. So it's good, you're allowed to work as long as you can, but as an effect, there's less jobs opening up.
Yes.
Right? So it's harder to get those entry level experiences because there's, a lot of senior people holding the job still.
what about the effective minimum wage?
Minimum wage, we're definitely seeing the cost raise, right?
Mm-hmm.
So they've basically increased minimum wage, but the cost of living has drastically shot up. Like you see the housing market right now, and the housing
Yes.
market is like on fire. Basically, if you're 20 to 30, you're having a tough go all around. Employment is tough. It's hard to get those entry level positions, and people are getting them. But it's networking and stuff. And then getting your first house, you need so much cash to put a down payment. It's a tough age to be.
Yeah.
But people are retiring, so basically the boomers are holding a lot of the higher level jobs. they're retiring. So 30% of the working population is retiring. So the next 5-10 years, it's going to be an employee market. So they're not going to have enough people to do the job. So it kind of flops back and forth, right? Whether it's an employer's market or an employee's market.
And people are having less kids.
Yes, because it's tough, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm old. I don't want to say my age, but I'm older, and a lot of people are having children in their 30s because in your 20s, you're having trouble just paying your bills and establishing yourself.
I had a conversation with my parents about this once, and because they got on my case once about, oh, you're in your 20s, how come you haven't had kids yet?
Right.
It's like, well, look around.
Yeah, it's a different world.
It's a completely different world.
Yeah.
Like when they finished college, they were, I'd say 21, 22 maybe.
Yeah.
They weren't taking on massive debt to get that education.
No.
They were basically starting from zero
Yeah.
at 22. So by the time 26 rolled around.
Yeah.
well,
They
hey,
were in careers for 4 years with good benefits, good paychecks.
Yeah.
So yeah, have kids. You've been able to get a house because houses were a lot cheaper and the down payment wasn't as stiff, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So it's a different world. It's hard to compare generation to generation. And it'll be different for my kids, right?
Yeah.
When they get there. Now, if you look at kids, like it's harder to move out and establish yourself. So a lot of kids in their 20s still live at home, and that is becoming more the norm. When I moved out, I was 18 and it was easy to get an apartment. Like an expensive apartment was $400. Like
Yeah.
that was the good apartment.
Yeah, that was the classy apartment.
Exactly. So now like $400, you can't get a room, I don't think. Like a bachelor's apartment isn't $400.
That's rough.
Yeah.
When I was in Kitchener-Waterloo, I was paying $650 for my bachelor pad.
Yeah.
And that was 2010.
Exactly. So now like $400, I don't even think that exists.
Yeah, good. If you can find something, I got a lot of people who'd pay that.
Yeah, for sure.
That's absolutely crazy.
Yeah, times change.
They do. It's going to be interesting to see the effects because we're also graduating a lot more people. Mm-hmm. But I'm not and I see this in computer science a lot, I'm not sure if we should be graduating as many as we are.
I think part of the problem, and if you speak to any employment consultant, they'll say part of the problem is people get into careers for the wrong reason. So you could, people get into it because their parents do it, because they were good in science, so they get into a certain stream. It doesn't mean they have the personality to do it or they're going to enjoy the job. And then the networking aspect, like it's hard to market yourself and to meet employers and to transition between student to working adult. So
Right.
some people don't make the transition, and that's why I have a job, because it is hard. It's hard to have the skill and be good in your job, but be able to market yourself too. A lot of people don't have the dual kind of.
I find it's tricky too. I remember when I was in high school, like my final year in grade 12, and going to all those university and college career fairs and seeing what was out there and thinking to myself, like being 17 years old.
Yeah.
And by the way, now we don't have a second year at grade 12.
Yeah, it's horrifying.
What a great move that was. So you can be as young as 15
Yeah,
in university
it's
now.
insane.
Like, does that seem a little wacky?
Yeah, to make decisions. You don't understand the world of work, and you don't understand what having a career is and you don't understand the purpose and the joy you can get out of a career. You're taught, a lot of times you're taught, well, you want to make a certain amount of money. This is a career. You're good in science. This is a career. Your parents have done that. You're exposed to what you've been exposed to, not basically maybe what your natural gifts are. So it is a sore spot with employment consultants, because I personally think there is a lack of guidance in a lot of the high schools, and they've got a tough job. There's a lot of students, and a lot of times there's one guidance counselor, or they have maybe they have an elective course now these days where there's some assessment done. But I don't think a lot of kids or teenagers, youth these days, have an understanding of what it means to work for the rest of your life.
Yeah. I remember the extent was, my high school was St. Thomas Aquinas Catholic Secondary. Mm-hmm. We had 3 guidance counselors for 1,200 students.
Yeah. So what are you expected to do, really?
I met with mine for maybe 30 minutes.
Yeah.
in total.
Yeah.
Like, and that really, there was no relationship there. There was nothing.
No, it's their hands are tied basically because of the overwhelming numbers and what they're unable to do. But
And we had a half credit careers course.
yeah.
Where it was basically like, oh, take this online test and
Yeah, and then do a co-op position and
maybe.
Yeah.
And do a resume.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that was it.
Yeah, so you have no understanding what it means to work and what it means like for, basically 30 to 40 years.
Yeah. And you're turning around to a 17-year-old and then saying, now pick a path.
Yeah, exactly.
You've had a chance to be a child.
Yeah.
Now tell me what your adult life is going to be like for the next 30 years.
Yes.
And pick right, because you're going to take on $20,000 worth of debt.
And maybe you don't have the means to do that. Like maybe your parents, a lot of times OSAP, they look at what your parents make, but maybe they make too much for you to get OSAP, but not enough for them to help. Right.
Well,
so it's tough.
Yeah. I mean, that was the position I found myself in a couple times. It was only through the fact that I have a disability that I was able to get some of those grants.
Yeah, for sure.
Like the rule was if you got $1 or more of OSAP, you qualified for the grant.
Yeah.
There was one year where I got I want to say $200 worth of OSAP, which is nothing.
Yeah.
But that qualified me for a $2,500 grant.
Yeah.
And that saved my skin.
Totally. And the government is making better strides toward helping make education more affordable. And Fanshawe College is phenomenal. Like if anybody is looking to go back to school, definitely they can look me up and come talk about that. I can help with that.
Yeah, I've seen a lot of good people come out of Fanshawe.
Absolutely. It's a great school. They've got a real be yourself attitude. The president is phenomenal. He's so down to earth. He runs it so well.
Well, you guys just got the testing institute there.
Yes.
The product testing institute.
Yes, it's huge.
That is so cool.
And the new campus downtown, the new business and hospitality in the old Kings Mills is phenomenal. If you get a chance to go down there, it's really next level, very cutting edge.
Yeah, I was in there for a little bit because I was working an event, Coin Your Logo for Cancer 2018. It was being held at the Covent Garden Market.
Okay.
And I was, Fanshaw's, I think their hospitality program was there helping out, doing a bit of work with that.
Yeah.
And then I got to see a little bit of that building. It is absolutely gorgeous what they've done with it.
Yeah, it's hard to believe that was even Kings Mills.
I know,
it's
right?
Incredible.
They've done some awesome stuff for that downtown.
Yes.
I'm really happy to see it.
Yeah, I think the face of downtown in the next 5 years is totally going to change.
Yeah.
With all the student. It breathes new life into the downtown, all the businesses, and a lot of the young people, that's who injects a lot of the money into the economy, right? When you get older, you've got other responsibilities, so...
Yeah. Well, that's why I caution the local politicians and anyone who craps all over the students whenever something happens.
Oh, yeah.
If there's a party or something, it's like, guys... 10% of the population.
Yeah. Yeah. And they're spending money on all the local businesses, right?
Yeah.
So totally.
Yeah. Like Richmond Row is open because of those
Absolutely.
students.
Absolutely.
Let's not play around.
Yeah, totally.
The reason they can survive July, August is because the other 10 months of the year.
Yeah. Yeah.
There's students around.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
I think we need to do a bit of a better job in London really promoting the fact that there's a lot of reasons to stay here.
Oh, totally. London is like a big little city, I find.
Yeah.
Yeah, especially the music community. The music community is so supportive and really small. Like once you're in it for a few years, you get to meet so many people and there's such a kinship. As soon as you meet a new person and they find out you're a musician, you're immediately connected and it's great. There's been a lot of support. London really does a good job. London, I think, is the only city that has a local Hall of Fame. So city Hall of Fame.
I've noticed, speaking of that kinship, I've noticed in a few of these different industries like music and programming and stand-up comedy and all these different areas, it feels like there's a lot, the sense of competition amongst everybody is gone down.
I think so. Like there's a lot of venues in London that promote live music. Some better than others. Some say they promote them and
you don't
they
say.
really. Yeah, but there's some great venues that really pay musicians for their services and treat them like it is a business. But yeah, so I think the more support there is for live music and at the venues, the less competition there is. But there's competition anywhere, and it depends the personality, right? It depends. Some people look at other musicians like competition, but personally, I look at other musicians as, collaborators. We can put on a show together. I can learn different things from different people. It's great to work with other people or to have them work with you on different projects. So I think a lot of it, it's like I said earlier, the glass half full or half empty, right? It depends on your mindset, how you look at it.
Well, and it's an opportunity too for all of you musicians to say, look, we have our different strengths, we have our different weaknesses.
Yes.
You're strong in a certain genre of music, I'm strong in a certain genre of music.
Yeah.
Or you cater to a certain audience and
Totally.
I cater to a certain audience.
Yeah.
And you can refer each other and have that mutually beneficial relationship,
Absolutely. Like I've referred other musicians to things that weren't a fit to me, or I've had musicians refer me to things that they couldn't do or was maybe not a fit.
Right.
So to me, the bigger the network is, the better. Like basically, if I meet you, I'm going to try to connect with you on Facebook or Instagram because I want to get to know you. I want to know what you're doing so I can kind of contribute or support you and build my network. And basically, we all need help, right? They say it takes a village to raise a child. Well, it takes a village to make an EP or do any sort of project, right?
Yeah.
So the more people you know, the more opinions you can get, the more advice you can get, and the more you can grow. You basically, for me, to get information outside of me and to learn from people that have more experience than me is invaluable. That's how I grow and get better.
Well, and then one day you can be the person that shares that with someone who's new and up and coming.
Totally. And it's funny, I've had the opportunity to do shows and work with new musicians. And it's so funny because I still feel like I'm new, right? But I suppose I have done a lot of stuff in the last few years. But I still know what I don't know. Right? So I know there's so much more that I have to learn still.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Just a quick aside, I wanted to mention this for building up those social skills.
Yeah.
Is one of the things that did it for me was Toastmasters.
Yes, I've heard a lot of great things about Toastmasters.
London is really blessed to have, and I don't use that word very often or very lightly, but London has at least 10 different Toastmasters clubs.
Wow, hey?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's great.
We have, and then there's a couple in St. Thomas. There's at least one or two in Strathroy as well. Mm-hmm. So you're certainly not struggling for lack of want.
Totally.
And I know that there's two that meet at the Goodwill building on Horton.
Yeah.
On Tuesday nights, Thursday nights at 7 p.m. Doors open 6:30. Mm-hmm. Full disclosure, I'm a member of one of them, Forest City Toastmasters. They just did their 60th year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's unreal.
60
I had no
years.
idea it was around that long.
Yeah. And then there was, and I think Thames Valley Toastmasters, which is the one on Tuesday nights, I feel like they just did their 25th or 30th.
Wow.
And
incredible.
Yeah.
Yeah, 60 years. I wouldn't have even thought Toastmaster was 60 years old.
Toastmasters actually, if on October 22nd, 1924 was the first official meeting.
It's coming up on a century sooner than not.
94 years.
Wow.
94 years old, the organization.
Wow, that's incredible.
And literally, the way I've talked about it is I would not be where I am today had I not joined Toastmasters.
Yeah, totally.
Because when I joined Toastmasters, I met Michael Doyle, him and I ended up collaborating on the Mo Mondays London.
Okay.
And so, but had I not gone to Toastmasters, I wouldn't have met Michael. Had I not met Michael, I wouldn't have gone to Mo Mondays London way back when.
Right.
And then I wouldn't have spoken at Mo Mondays Guelph, where I met Michelle Neray, the founder of Mo Mondays.
Yes, I've met him too. We have the same ukulele, the Arc Top Tenor.
Oh, cool. Yeah, he was in town a couple weeks ago for Mo Mondays London. He brought his uke collection.
Yes.
Did you see any of the posts on Facebook yet?
I did, and I couldn't make it because it was just around the same time as my Northern Ontario
right,
stuff.
yeah.
So I really wanted to come because I haven't met him in person yet. But we've certainly talked online with our mutual love for ukuleles.
Yeah, if you're a uke fan, you got a friend for life in Michelle.
Yeah, totally.
He is awesome. He's got all these different... It's been so fun to watch him get better at it, too.
Oh, yeah. Because he's fairly new, too, I think he was saying.
Yeah, because when I met him in 2016 at Mo Monday's Guelph, it was such a trip. Michael and I spoke at the December 2016 show, which was on Boxing Day.
Okay.
So, get away from the family.
Yeah.
And go speak at Mo Monday's Guelph, which was just totally awesome. And then getting a chance to meet him after the show. Then the next month, we're in Toronto at Mo Monday's Toronto, seeing the whole thing go down and the 5-year party, which was so much fun.
Yes, I remember seeing the pictures to that, actually.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun. And then the after party at Michelle's place and, watching them play the ukulele.
Yeah.
But that compared to where he is now is like night and day.
Yes.
It's like absolute night and day.
Yeah, he really took a shining to that instrument, too. We definitely relate over that.
Yeah. And now he's part of that group, the Jack Russell Trio.
Yes, yeah.
He's got that. I think they're actually doing a performance tonight.
Oh, awesome. In Toronto? Or
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know you've seen his posts on the house parties he holds.
Yes.
Oh,
yes.
those
He's
are cool.
invited me. It's hard for me to get away, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, that's a little bit tricky, but it's so cool because they take the living room that him and his wife got. They set up all sorts of chairs.
Yes.
And they've got the stage they put in place.
Yes.
It's so cool.
I definitely want to go someday.
And it's such a good idea, too.
It is a fabulous idea. It's so great to get to play with other musicians and, share that love.
Yeah, I like the fact that when he came up with Mo Mondays of actually having a musician in the interlude.
Yeah, it's a great idea. Yeah, music makes things more memorable, I think. It kind of adds a lighthearted feel to it. And like you said, you hear music and it really brings you back to that time. So.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm. And there's just something so powerful about it.
Yes, totally.
Like you said, it can capture those emotions.
Yeah, that are tough to articulate a lot of times.
There's songs that, it's so funny because there's songs that I've been listening to recently with a bunch of recent events that have happened that it's just like, I'll listen to the song and then go, what was that again?
Yeah.
You want to run that past me one more time?
Yeah.
And you just hear the lyrics and go, holy crap. Okay.
Yeah. Some things are perfectly timed when you need them. That kind of feeling of synchronicity, where it's like, wow, did I ever need that right now? Is it ever applicable for my life?
Yeah. It just, those songs that talk to you.
Totally.
And there's no other way to describe it. It grabs you and talks to you.
And helps you normalize something that you're going through. So that's the hope of every musician, right? To really resonate and help make the human experience easier.
Yeah. I think about the most memorable songs or tracks that I've arranged. And I think about, there's two in particular I think about where I call it my little theme song, Product of 31. And I'm actually going to use it as the intro to each of the podcasts just because I like it so much.
Yeah.
But then there was one that I wrote, that I arranged like right in the middle. I was feeling really crap one night and I was trying to, capture that feeling in a track and it wasn't quite working out. But then I shifted the octaves down by 2 and then it was like, this is it.
Yeah.
I had just gotten out of a relationship and feeling kind of crappy about that. And just the way that the track sounded, it was like, this is it.
Totally.
This captures those emotions perfectly.
Yeah.
So music is just so awesome. And
it definitely makes life easier, more enjoyable.
Yeah. And by the way, pro tip, you want to get through the grocery store even faster, put the soundtrack to Sonic the Hedgehog on. It works.
I can imagine.
It works. You don't stand around and get suckered by the sales.
Yeah.
Man.
The coin sound would be motivating, grabbing boxes and you hear the cling, 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 cling.
Yeah. The Mega Man menu sound is my text message sound.
Oh, that's awesome.
So, but it kind of screws me up now when I'm playing Mega Man on the NES.
You're like, what the heck?
It's like, I'm getting all these messages. What the hell? All these people want to talk to me. Wow. Man, we've covered a lot of ground in the last almost 2 hours.
Yes, certainly.
So what's next for you?
The big release. So November 17th, it's a Saturday. It's 3 weeks, I guess, from now, at the London Music Hall of Fame Ballroom. That's my official EP release.
Sweet.
Tickets are $20. You can get them at the London Music Hall of Fame through Grooves Records, through the Village Idiot, through myself or Mike Trudgeon, through Howie Zowie, who is a host on CHRW. He has a show Saturday mornings with Howie Zowie, him and his wife, on 94.9 FM. So he's helping out with that too.
That's Fanshawe Radio?
That's Western, actually.
Western Radio, right.
Yeah, Western. I've yet to crack into Fanshawe. I've got to get on that.
Yeah, 106.9 The X.
But yeah, they can pick up a ticket. Mike Trudgeon will be opening, and I'll have a full band for the night. So it's going to be a great event. I'm very excited. That's when there are some EPs that are out already, but that's the official London release. And I'm not doing a heck of a lot in the meantime. I am partnered with Junction Beats.
Yeah, Joel Jacobs.
Yeah, Joel. He's a fabulous guy, amazing musician. He's studied at the Toronto University in the jazz program, so just his caliber is next level.
Oh, wow.
I was so excited when he asked me to kind of collaborate with him. We had the first basically introductory ukulele group session.
Right.
Yeah, last month. So we were, I don't know what happened. We were trying to do the second Tuesday of every month, but the next one we miscalculated, and it's November 12th, which is a Monday. So we've got the next group session running then, and then the second Tuesday in December as well. We're trying 3 out to see how it went. The first class was a success. We had a bunch of people come out, and it ranged from, we had a 6-year-old all the way up to 70 plus years old. So it was for, all different types of people. It was a great time to really help ignite that passion and give some people some beginner skills to get started on their musical path.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Where are you guys holding that?
At Junction Beats.
Oh, sweet.
Yeah, so it's downtown. It's right near Beale High School, near the police station.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, King and Clarence it's very close to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was talking to Joel. I want to get him on the podcast.
Oh, he's such a great guy. Yeah, super positive. Like, he's got great energy. He's doing a great thing for London too. He's got a music school that's really fun.
Yeah.
He's got the theory behind it, but he really meets students where they are and really looks at how can we make this fun.
Right. And that's so important.
Mm-hmm. I took piano when I was growing up, and I didn't connect with my teacher, so it really I made no progress. My parents basically paid week to week for me to do nothing.
Yeah. Sorry, parents.
Yeah.
But hey,
it worked out though, right?
Yeah.
Something stuck.
Yeah. No, it's reinforcement that nonlinear path is totally okay.
Totally. Success is never linear. It's more up and down, sideways, loop to loop, on pause, rewind.
Oh my God. I would have never predicted this path in a million years.
Totally.
Did you ever think to yourself, like, okay, this is exactly how my life is going to go. One day I'm going to go to London. I'm going to break up with my bandmates. I'm going to record this album. I'm going to have kids along the way.
Yeah, no. I never thought I would get to be a musician. I never expected to be a mom either. A lot of things, I didn't know what to expect as a kid. I grew up in Northern Ontario. So just I was exposed to what I was exposed to. So I had no idea where I was going to end up.
Right.
I'm very happy that it's London.
Well, I'm glad too, because, this is for as much as I criticize this city sometimes, it fundamentally is a good place.
Totally.
And I have a ton of love for it, and I just want to see it get better.
Absolutely. And the more positive you speak about it, the more things you do positive, right? If you look at things negatively, like we said, you kind of look for the negative.
Yeah.
And it reinforces it. So
it's way too easy to just bitch and whine and complain and be part of the problem.
Totally. Just do something positive. Just like the album, I wanted to do it, so I just took small steps, and then all the small steps added up, right? Eventually.
Yeah. Well, if we can keep doing that and we'll see some incredible progress in the city.
Totally.
We have the foundation to have an amazing, and it is an amazing place.
Absolutely.
There is a lot going on.
Yes.
And if you say on a Friday night there's nothing to do, you're not looking hard.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
There's always something to do here.
Totally. All different sorts of things. I just saw a wonderful play too. It was called Night Mother. The London Arts Councilor TAP put it on downtown.
Oh, yeah.
The London Arts Project, I think it's called. But oh my gosh, so emotional and so it just makes you really think and reflect. And yeah, just London is phenomenal for the arts. We're really lucky to have such a strong arts presence here.
Yeah, and the venues too. Mm-hmm. Like think about the venues we've got. We've got the John Labatt Center, Budweiser Gardens.
Yeah.
I still call it the JLC.
Yeah. It's
Covent Garden Market. We've got Centennial Hall.
Yes.
Like a separate hall. The
Yeah.
London Music Hall.
Yes. Rum Runners.
Rum Runners.
Yeah.
What else have we got? There's the places up at Western. Mm-hmm. Like Western's got a lot of performance areas.
Yeah. The Aeolian.
The Aeolian,
Yeah.
yes.
Yeah. The Wolf. What is that? The Wolf something. It's in the library, I think.
The Wolf Performance Hall.
Yes.
Yes.
Yeah. So many.
Which is really reasonable to rent out, by the way.
Nice.
Like it's only like you want to rent it out for a show. It's only like $1,000 or something.
Nice.
That
Yeah.
includes AV guys.
Yeah. There's a lot of great. And then the London Music Hall of Fame Ballroom where I'm doing
Yeah.
my venue too. It's a really nice space.
Yep. And then there's a million, like the number of places that Michael and I went around to when we were looking for a Mo Mondays venue that are just like, they weren't necessarily set up for Mo Mondays, but for music performance, they were just like bang on.
Yes. Totally. Totally.
There are so many great little stages here.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. It's a great way to get out there, get experience, get your music out there and meet more people.
Yeah.
I'm so lucky. I've got Zach the cat on my lap right now, keeping me company.
Yeah.
He's feisty. He's feisty.
He's a little bit...
That's all right, though. Don't sweat it.
Okay.
I got two kitties, too, and they get feisty.
Yeah, they can get... It's not every day that you record a podcast with a cat.
Yeah.
He's... he wants the he wants the wire.
Don't want to chew the wire. That's what cats are famous for.
He steals all my elastic bands.
Oh, that too, eh?
Yeah, if I leave a binder clip or an elastic band, he'll bugger right off.
Yeah, gone.
He'll look at me and then go away.
Yeah, once you move, you'll move your couch and there'll be like 500 elastics underneath. You can make one of those big giant rubber band balls.
Oh, I know.
It'd be wonderful.
I know. That was, my aunt said that when I adopted him from my aunt, she said that she would constantly find like, so where'd my hair elastic go? Oh, they're all under the computer.
Yeah, hoarder. Zach, you hoarder.
Just a little bit. So so you got the release party that's coming up. That's awesome. Mm-hmm. Date again?
November 17th.
November 17th.
Yeah, London Music Hall of Fame Ballroom.
London Music Hall of Fame Ballroom.
Yes.
Awesome. Get your tickets, folks. Get out there. I'll make sure to put in the link description, and I got to finish setting up the webpage.
Yeah.
But in all the link descriptions and everything, I'll make sure to add as many links to this as possible.
Awesome. Yeah, it's on Eventbrite too, actually.
Oh, good.
Yeah, so there's plenty of different ways. Or contact me directly. I'm on Facebook under Leanne Mayer Music. You can send me a message and I can hook you up.
Sweet. Are you on Instagram or anything like that?
Yeah, Instagram too under Leanne Mayer Music.
Cool.
YouTube and iTunes, actually. Its pre-release is October 30th. And that's just under Leanne Mayer. So I'm super excited. You can, the release is October 30th. It's up for pre-release right now.
Yep.
On iTunes, the 5-song EP. There it is.
Yep. Just search Leanne Mayer.
Yeah, it's super exciting.
On iTunes, and there it is.
Yeah, it's hard to believe. That is definitely one of my dreams come true. I never expected that I would get to, produce an EP and kind of self-fund it.
That is so cool. Mm-hmm. There it is. It's on iTunes.
Yeah, and it'll be on Spotify on the 30th too. So Tuesday is the big day.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, the day before Halloween.
Is when it'll be on Spotify.
Yes, and all the online platforms, Google Music, all of the stuff. The stuff that I don't even know about, it's on there.
It'll be there. You'll get the royalty checks rolling in no time.
Let's hope.
That is so awesome.
Yeah.
Well, we could go on forever, but I think we've got other topics we could cover another time.
Totally.
So this is exactly the way I wanted the podcast to go.
Oh, perfect.
This is awesome.
good.
So, Leanne, thank you so much for joining me.
Thank you so much for having me. It's an honor to be one of your first kind of guests on the podcast. This is episode number 2.
Yep. Episode number 2 of the recorded ones. They're sort of the 2 test pilot episodes that are up already. So
Awesome.
yeah, I'm considering this episode 2.
Oh, there we go.
So whether it'll come out in episode 2 order or another order, I don't know yet.
I've said too much.
But that's fine. We'll figure it out. Leanne, thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Eli.
And we will see you guys again next time. You have a beautiful week. Bye. Thank you, dear listener, for listening to Let's Solve the Universe. If you'd like to subscribe to the podcast, head over to lstupodcast.com. Thank you so much, and I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll talk again soon. Bye for now.